This marks the 6th part of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous parts, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 100 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin our recap video for today's manhwa. Looking at the building in front, Raoul exclaimed, "My, oh my," he thought to himself. The place that they escorted me to isn't the main building, but the mansion's annex. The servant who was escorting them explained. The Baron said that since the main building is crowded, he wanted us to prepare a quiet place for you. Raoul thought to himself, dismissing it as nonsense. He firmly stated, "I don't wish to hear it. I'm going to the main building." The servant replied, "Yes, sir." As Raoul opened the door of the main building, he was taken aback and asked, "Are they in their right minds?" He thought to himself, "And the 3-story main building and office where only the Count and his family can stay. The Baron's entire family lives." Raoul questioned, "How do you plan to explain this, Baron Gendar? Is it a Count family tradition for ministers and the like to dare occupy the Count's office?" Baron Gendar responded, "We were just borrowing this for a while. You don't even come here once a year anyway. Isn't it a waste to keep it empty?" Raoul shouted, "Get lost at once. If you don't empty the mansion by today, I shall slice all your heads even if we're close family. From this point on, I shall strip the Baron of his position as the Foreign Affairs Minister. If you'd like to raise an objection, come to me by tomorrow with documentation showing that you have properly performed your duties as a minister." Meanwhile, anger could be seen on Baron Gendar's face, but he did not say anything and left the room. Seeing Baron Gendar and his family leaving through his window, Raoul thought to himself, "Since we're wrapping up with the preparations, I'll have to find the materials I need now. I was worried that the materials would have been discarded due to the condition of the mansion, but I am glad that it's still here." All documents related to the management and finances of the mansion were left in the office. They must be very complacent to think that nothing much will happen overnight. But, in his previous life, as Bae DoHyun, he studied business administration and worked at a trading company. Bernard is considered the foremost expert on mansion-related matters. Philip informed Raoul that the Baron had left the mansion with his family. Raoul asked if they left quietly, to which Philip confirmed that they had left quietly, taking only the necessary clothes. Raoul expressed his belief that it was obvious what the Baron was thinking and that they would eventually return, so there was no need to take all their belongings out. Philip questioned if it would be all right and suggested giving them time to organize, but Raoul insisted on quickly removing any unwanted elements. He believed it would be more efficient to confront the Baron when he least expected it. Raoul also had plans to use the mansion as a branch of the First Guild until finding a suitable location in the capital. He wanted to maintain control over his house and prevent any unwanted individuals from causing trouble. Pierce mentioned that it seemed like the Baron had other support and wondered if something strange would happen. Raoul reassured him, stating that it didn't matter what tricks the Baron had up his sleeve and encouraged Pierce to have more faith in their county. Jake questioned why Pierce was so worried and suggested exploring the mansion instead of engaging in painful discussions. He emphasized that they would follow Raoul's instructions regardless. Raoul agreed and instructed everyone to rest, except for Bernard, who was to stay. Jake said to Philip, "Now, let's go." Raoul asked, "You know what you have to look for, right?" Bernard replied, "Yes, young master. This is my expertise." Raoul said, "We don't have much time, so let's start right away." On the following day, Raoul instructed Bernard in harnessing his wind mage abilities to control swords for offensive maneuvers. After some training, Raoul said, "You got a lot better, didn't you? I never thought you'd already be able to handle 2 daggers like this." Bernard replied, "I still have a long way to go." Raoul thought to himself, it's been a month and a half since he awakened his superpowers with the skill book. To think that he's already this skilled. He's no ordinary talent. It's not easy for a wind mage to handle a weapon so precisely. At this rate, He will reach intermediate level in about 6 months and become a multi-talented psychic that is hard to find anywhere. Then Raoul asked Bernard, "Shall we do some martial arts training next? I told you back then too, it's difficult to demonstrate power with just one superpower. It's easy and efficient to increase proficiency by combining various skills in the beginning." "Are you ready?" Bernard replied. "Yes, I'm ready." And sensing someone's presence, Bernard said, "It seems like we have a guest." Raoul thought, as expected of a wind magician, "I can't catch up with long-distance sensing ability." And Raoul said, "Let's go. As a host, I have to greet guests properly." Bernard said, "Understood. Shall I bring the things we prepared yesterday?" Raoul replied, "Yeah, bring them all, because I deserve to be rewarded for my hard work last night." Bernard thought to himself, "Something always happens every time young master makes that face. I hope you don't do anything foolish, Baron." Jake, looking at the people gathered outside the door, said, "I mean, did they bury a treasure trove or something? I don't get why there are so many people gathered here." Jake thought to himself, "Among the escort knights, there are some exuding a formidable vigor. There are even soldiers outside the mansion too. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like it's something our party can handle alone. Does the young master have something else in mind?" Baron Gendar thought to himself, "Things are going well. The little young master bit the bait just like that. All the work must be completed now when he's away. That way I can get a position to blood relatives of the Ashton County residing in the capital. They must have gathered because of what happened last night. Getting fired from the Foreign Affairs Minister position and getting kicked out of the mansion aren't just my problems, because blood relatives in the capital also used to hold banquets in the mansion hall at the county's expense. Even the management fees for the mansion have been flowing to them through my pocket, so there is no way those who had their back pockets taken away overnight would remain silent. Well, it was a mistake on my part to hold the party in my name and use the office. But they don't know about it anyway. He must only know how to act like a noble. He's just an idiot who doesn't know what he's getting into. Hyungnim, I don't know why you entrusted the seal to your young son, but I'll use it well." Meanwhile, Raoul entered the hall. People in the crowd turned their attention to him and began whispering to each other. One person asked, "Is that pretty face really a blood relative of ours?" Another responded, "But still, blood doesn't deceive. I heard he's 15, but he's already 180 centimeters tall." A third person questioned, "Is it that young bastard who's bothering Baron Gendar?" A fourth person inquired, "Is it really true that he won the swordsmanship competition?" Raoul found himself unexpectedly standing in front of a large group of people. He spoke up, "Is everyone here because of the matters with Baron Gendar?" Baron Gendar replied, "That's right. Your blood relatives are angry at your unreasonable behavior and have gathered together here. How about you apologize to the adults and fix this mess now?" Raoul asked, "Then, I can assume that Baron Gendar represents everyone here, right? As I promised, I will try to sort out my rights and wrongs." Baron Gendar scoffed, "How funny of you, your rights and wrongs. In the first place, this mansion has been managed alternately by blood relatives living in the capital for decades now. It's not a playground that can be messed around in by a young brat from the main family who doesn't even know anything." People in the crowd directed their comments towards Raoul. One person exclaimed, "That's right. Is the main family looking down on us?" Another added, "The Count is too much too. To think that he'd give the authority to represent him to a child. On top of that, he even gave less subsidies. What is he doing when opening additional mansions and improving management methods aren't enough?" Raoul thought to himself, "At this point, I won't have time to tell them what Baron Gendar did and why he was fired. Well, that's not important right now though. Things may get more complicated than expected. A total of 5 forces have gathered here. First, Ashton County's blood relatives. They participated without much thought. Second, the spies of the Imperial Hounds, the Intelligence Bureau of the Kranan Empire, were not surprised by the revelation. It was obvious to them that the Empire was responsible for the conflicts across the continent. However, the third category of individuals involved in the situation was unexpected. They were the knights of the Delamian family, one of the 5 great families of the Brennan Republic. A window popped up, displaying information about a man named Graham. He was 45 years old and held the title of knight, with advanced sword expertise. He belonged to the Reborn Kingdom, Baron Hon, Brennan Republic, and the Delamian family. His nickname was the Red Executor, and his stats showed a high potential ability grader. He possessed unique traits such as a tireless body grader and being a melee specialist grade B. Raoul continued to ponder the situation, noting that there were several mid-tier expert knights besides Graham. However, he couldn't understand why families stronger than Ashton's were converging in this area. It was a frustrating situation for him. Additionally, there were the knights of the Randall Viscounty, who were also causing trouble. Another window appeared, revealing information about a man named Raphael. He was 26 years old and held the title of knight, but he was a beginner in sword expertise. He belonged to Randall County and was known as the 4th young master of Randall County. His stats showed a decent potential ability grade B, and he possessed unique traits such as royal lineage grade B and agility grade C. Raoul thought to himself, questioning why the 4th young master of Randall County, whose family's emblem was a weapon, would be present. Perhaps it had something to do with what happened at Mira, but he knew that Raphael wouldn't be able to act openly. Lastly, there was the 5th individual, the traitor of the family who was responsible for all the chaos and would take the lead when things went wrong. A status window appeared, revealing information about a man named Titus. He was 27 years old and held the title of knight, with intermediate sword expertise. He belonged to the Reborn Kingdom, Jaden Viscounty, Brennan Republic, and the Jaden family. His stats showed a high potential ability grader, and he possessed unique traits such as royal lineage grader, straight-head instinct grader, and twisted fighting spirit grade B. Raoul thought to himself, the eldest son of Viscount Jaden, my uncle, my elder cousin, Titus. Raoul thought to himself that his father, Count Melvin D. Ashton, had 2 brothers. His older brother was Jaden and his younger brother was Austin. Out of the 3, Melvin was the most talented, but due to primogeniture, Jaden was expected to be the next count. Jaden was known for his arrogance and violent nature, often hurting or killing anyone who bothered him. However, one day Melvin achieved intermediate expert status and gained more support than Jaden to become the next count. Feeling threatened and jealous, Jaden attempted to assassinate Melvin, but was caught and lost his privileges. As time passed, Melvin became the count while Jaden received the title of Viscount and a large amount of land. However, Jaden couldn't accept the fact that he lost his title as count to his younger brother. He ended up selling his assets to a rival family, Marquis McNeil, and left the kingdom with his followers. All of this happened 15 years ago, when Raoul Ashton was born. Raoul noticed the presence of Viscount Jaden's son. One can discern where Baron Gendar loyalties lie. The people in the room didn't have any negative feelings towards Viscount Jaden because they didn't lose anything in the incident 15 years ago. They probably saw this as an opportunity to push Raoul and his family aside and take their place. In his past life, Ashton County fragmented into various factions and collapsed. He notion that they made the correct decision holds only if he wasn't present. He intends to educate them about the significant error they committed. However, he knew what was going on and was determined to prove them wrong. He decided it was time to make his move. Raoul then signaled Philip, who made a loud noise with a metal shield to silence the gathered crowd. Raoul stated that he had heard enough from them and wanted to say something. He instructed Bernard and Pierce to hand out books to the people in the hall, which confused them. Then Raoul said, "Read the title." One of them read the title as a report on the management and financial operations of Count Ashton's estate with attached evidence and investigation materials regarding Baron Gender's embezzlement and misappropriation. Opening the book and reading through the report, all people became nervous, but Baron Gender, in anger, threw the report and said, "What is this? This is not real, it's fake." Other people said to each other, "Yeah, they seem legitimate, but it is hard to believe." Baron Gender said, "You came here yesterday yet you claim to have done all this while you were here. What nonsense." Raoul said, "Now, let's have some real talk, shall we? This says that 200 trainees are getting free lessons here. Where are they now?" Baron Gender said, "They gave up and ran away with the equipment." Raoul asked, "All 200? Are you saying they were all from somewhere else? It's weird how you chose every trainee from outside the capital when the point of the free lesson was to gain popularity in the capital." Baron Gender said, "They all ran away. And who I pick is up to me." Raoul said, "Sure, there are addresses in the book, so we will find more about it once we start investigating. Let's go to the next one. It says that you gave 100 gold swords as presents to other barons, but according to the investigated report, they have all received 10 gold replicas. This also says you hired 100 C-rank mercenaries as mansion guards. Where are they? There's no way 20 rank F are all you have, right? There were frequent parties at the main building as well. Celebration for the Baron's son, the Baron's wife's birthday party, the Baron's hunting ceremony, etc. I don't get what all these have to do with using estate expenses." Raoul thought to himself how amazed he was by listing out all the findings again. He had to stay up late to gather all the information. Last night, he discovered that some of the papers were fake, so he had to sneak into the Baron's house. With his analytical and Pierce observant skills, they were able to find the real book of accounts. Bernard organized the findings and compiled them into a book. Raoul then used his document copying skills to make multiple copies. It was now evident to everyone how much the Baron had embezzled. Raoul addressed the group, pointing out that more than half of the estate expenses had been embezzled, and asked if anyone disagreed with firing Baron Gender. Baron Gender responded, expressing his amazement and questioning how long Raoul had been preparing for this. He accused Raoul of being a bad person and plotting against him. Raoul wondered what the Baron was trying to do. Baron Gender then asked if anyone had sensed something fishy about the situation, as he had never seen such a thoroughly organized temporary report before. He believed Raoul had prepared it beforehand to try and remove him from power and restrict the family's influence in the capital. Others families members that were gathering chimed in, suggesting that this was a political intrigue orchestrated by Ashton to protect his budget and that firing Baron Gender would result in a decline in support for other families. Baron Gender declared that they would not let it happen. Baron Gender then presented a papers through Jackson, stating that if Raoul signed it and left, they would excuse him for the disrespect shown that day. Raoul urged Jake to check the paper, and Jake responded affirmatively. Jake perused the document, noting the outlined steps. First, the estate's ownership must shift to a joint title held by Baron Gender and other family members. Second, family members and the capital will dictate the estate's management, including stewardship. And third, the exclusive sharing of the sword skill, originally confined to the main family, will now be unrestricted among the branch family members. Jake was reading the paper and became angry. He shouted, "They have all lost their minds. They were all having parties with the money we made from killing monsters. And what? Ownership, sword skill, go screw yourself." Baron Gender responded, "How rude. You have no right to speak to me. Is this really what the main family wants?" Jake replied, "So what? Like I said, go screw yourself. We are not giving you this house. This is by far the most brilliant bullshit I've ever heard. You damn dogs," Baron Gender exclaimed. "How dare you?" and pulled out a dagger. Philip and Pierce also pulled out their weapons. Suddenly, Everyone in the room drew their weapons towards Raoul and his knights. Raoul intervened and said to Jake, "Stop." Jake obediently replied, "Yes, sir." Baron Gendar thought to himself, "He doesn't care that I pulled out a knife. I only did it to threaten him. But those three right there are the best knights in Golden Bear. I stand no chance." Baron Gendar then addressed Raoul. "He insulted us. If you don't execute him and apologize, I will consider you the same. Apologize if you want to avoid bloodshed." Raoul smiled and responded, "I mean, Sir Jake didn't say anything wrong. Why don't you stop acting? I don't expect this to be solved with these papers. I thought you'd be embarrassed at least." Raoul also pulled out his sword and added, "I guess you are a greater person than I thought you were. You knew, right, that I would never sign that paper over your bullshit. So say it. Say what you really want." Meanwhile, Baron Gendar was taken aback by Raoul's actions and thought to himself, "I heard the youngest is the weakest and talentless. How is that?" However, Baron Gendar was determined not to back out now. He confidently stated, "There's no use trying to bluff. You can't leave this place unless you sign the paper." He repeated, "You can't leave this place unless you sign the paper." Meanwhile, Raoul advised Baron Gendar to think carefully. Raoul said to Baron Gendars, "Your actions were likened to declaring war against the county, as other people gathered and expressed their disapproval. They reminded Baron Gendar that his actions were not what they had agreed upon and called him crazy. One person declared their intention to leave. Baron Gendar turned to them and arrogantly stated that it was too late, as they were all in the same boat and the Count would not forgive them. Raoul questioned if they were done talking and refused to sign the paper. In response, Baron Gendar warned Raoul that hundreds of knights and guards would attack him upon his command, questioning if Raoul believed Golden Bear could withstand them all. Baron Gendar, in his thoughts, revealed that he had prepared a secret weapon that even Golden Bear would not be able to defeat. Raoul, also in his thoughts, realized that some of the people present were merely watching and concluded that there was nothing stopping him. He confidently challenged Baron Gendar's threats. Baron Gendar was shocked by Raoul's response and wondered why he was so confident, as he had expected to be able to intimidate him with armed soldiers. Baron Gendar acknowledged that using the secret weapon would lead to war and expressed his desire for Raoul to be as weak as the rumors suggested. He demanded proof of Raoul's lineage, insulting him with fake documents and disrespecting him in front of the gathered crowd. The people were surprised by this request, as it was a duel request that could only be used once in a lifetime and was typically used against superiors. They questioned the forced nature of the situation, considering that Raoul was Baron Gendar's nephew. Raoul questioned Baron Gendar's seriousness and refused to accept his request. In response, Baron Gendar claimed that it was his last act of mercy and that it would be better than having Raoul's seal forcibly taken away. Raoul said, "And you get the honor of taking away your nephew's seal through an honorable duel." Baron Gendar replied, "Decide. If you decline, I'll have to use force." And Baron Gendar thought to himself, "I know your answer even though you acted all strong." Raoul asked, "What are the conditions? I'm assuming you are not the one dueling." Baron Gendar responded, 3 from each side. 1 versus 1 duels from each side and the last one standing wins. And since it's proof of lineage, you'll have to pick 3 from the lineage. Philip objected, "No way. There's only Sir Raoul on Ashton's side. That is not fair," Baron Gendar stated. "There are many others of the lineages here. If they think Raoul is right, they can stand on his side. It's not my responsibility if no one stands by you." Meanwhile, Raoul stopped Philip and asked, "And the bet of the duel?" "I'll sign the paper if I lose." "What are you betting?" Baron Gendar replied, "I don't think it matters." "Do you want anything from me?" Raoul said, "It's a fair duel, so the bets should be fair too. If I win, I'll take every family's house that has signed the paper." The members of the families that signed the paper exclaimed, "What? That's ridiculous." Raoul said, "If you don't agree, there's no duel. What do you say?" Baron Gendar thought to himself, What is he thinking? This will only make the other families stand against him. It's not bad for me. If I can't get him to sign the paper, those houses are meaningless. And Berenger said, "Sure, I agree." He then asked, "Are you accepting the duel?" Meanwhile, Philip said to Raoul, "There are different ways to do this." Raoul thought to himself, Philip is right, but I've already decided to accept the duel, and I even got a quest for it. I'm not backing down. The quest window displayed the information for the task at hand, labeled as proof of lineage. It stated that the grade for this quest was C and the objective was to win the duel. There was an extra objective to win the duel alone. The description mentioned that the families and the capital were being unreasonable and the task was to shut them down with skill. The reward for completing the quest was experience points and player-only coins, with one unknown reward. Raoul turned to Philip and asked, "Do you think I'm going to lose?" Philip responded, "It's not that. I'm just worried that there might be unexpected variables." Raoul then sent Philip a message using the guild chat, reassuring him, "Don't worry. If you think there's going to be a problem, you can break in and interrupt." Raoul suspected that the opposing side might be thinking the same. In his thoughts, Raoul believed that this duel was merely for show and that the opposing side wouldn't accept the consequences even if they lost. He then addressed Berenger, saying, "I'll accept the duel. Who's going to be the judge? I don't want you to be unreasonable after you lose." Berenger assured him, "Don't worry, I have a special guest here." He turned towards Raphael and asked, "May I ask you to be the judge?" Raphael reluctantly responded, "I guess I have to now." People were surprised by that. They began to ask questions. One person asked, "Who is that?" Another questioned, "Is he not a god?" Berenger proudly declared, "This man is known for his sword and character in the capital, the rising star of Reuben Kingdom, Raphael D. Randall, Randall Viscounty's fourth son." This revelation shocked everyone, causing them to draw their weapons. Raphael quickly intervened, calming everyone down, and explained that he was only there because he was invited and didn't expect such a tragic event to occur. Raoul expressed his trust in Raphael's fairness as a judge, stating, "Raphael from Randall County, I believe you will be a fair judge." Raphael replied confidently, "Of course." Shortly after, Raphael called for the representatives to stand in their designated positions. Raoul, in his thoughts, realized that no one was standing by his side, which worked in his favor as he didn't have to decide which one was the better option among the garbage. Raphael then announced, "Let us begin the first match. Gendar family's third son, Aaron, and the first representative of the Gendar family." Aaron thought to himself, "This kid screwed over my party." The weakest of Ashton, all confident over winning a countryside tournament. "I'll make you beg," Raphael said. "Duel start now." Aaron rushed forward to attack while saying, "You are done for, kid." In the next moment, Raphael announced, "The first duel winner is Raoul." People watching the duel said, "One strike, and what happened? I didn't even see it." Berenger thought to himself, "Stupid. He let his guard down. No way, how stupid. You lost your chance to regain our family's honor." Raphael asked Raoul, "Shall we start the next match?" Meanwhile, Raoul's next opponent approached and said, "I'll duel with you next." Raphael thought to himself, "Baron Kesby. He's one of the decent swordsmen in the capital. I'm excited for this one." Baron Kesby said, "Let's start right away." Then Baron Kesby attacked Raoul, which was easily blocked by Raoul. Baron Kesby said to Raoul, "Your basics are nice, very steady. Your reflexes are on point too. I can see why Aaron lost in one strike." And Baron Kesby thought to himself, "It's not something I should use against a kid 20 years younger than me, but I also have a lot on the line." Baron Kesby used the bear strike to attack Raoul, which was blocked by him. Baron Kesby became surprised and thought to himself, he blocked the bear strike. This marks the conclusion of the 6th part of this manhwa. The 7th part will be posted tomorrow. So remember to like and subscribe to the channel for future update. See you tomorrow with a new episode.